What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Dad Wise podcast. Isaac, your host. Thanks for hopping on here with me, putting me in your ears. We decided to split this conversation with Brett into two parts because it was long, but it was good, so I didn't want anyone to miss it. Talking about homeschooling. He's the founder, creator, owner of the Classical Learner and Homeschools Connected curriculum. So if you like the part one, you're going to love part two. Still talking about homeschooling and all things related to that. But before we get into it, I wanted to remind you that we've got the 12 Rules for Dad Life book you can grab. There's digital, paperback, hardback copies. But we just unpack everything fatherhood. So 12 different aspects of what it takes to be an awesome dad. And I think it'll be super helpful for you on your journey into fatherhood. And also the DadWise Academy is an online community, online course with monthly challenges. The DadWise Monthly is kind of like a mini course with a video and then different challenges and focuses for you as a dad to help elevate your fatherhood game. We've got a little segment called Chats with Chillins that helps you kind of tackle topics with your kids as you lead them and teach them different things, and then exclusive podcast episodes and access to the community. All sorts of stuff is included in that $15 a month. So you can jump on that. And if you don't want to pay monthly, then you can get the Fatherhood Primer course. It's just a 4-week course. You get it for lifetime access. So tons of different ways for you to level up your fatherhood game. But let's get into the podcast. But first, a quick word from the sponsor. Yeah, I don't know who it is. Maybe Montessori or Charlotte Mason, but kids want to learn, right? They're always learning, and it seems like the public school system ends up stifling the curiosity and the desire to learn more than it nurtures it. What would you say to a family who just feels like they can't homeschool, like a single mom or two full-time job people? How do you navigate like different life circumstances that sort of prevent this homeschooling ideal?
Well, everyone's situation is different, but yeah. I do know single moms with 6 children that homeschool. So
okay, nice.
You can do it. You can do it. Now, your situation's different. You got to be creative based on your situation. So for some people, that's finding a co-op of other homeschoolers that maybe 2 of the days of a week they could have your children there. For other people, that's using grandparents or a family friend or their cousin or their sister, right, to help 1 or 2 days a week. And then with homeschooling, you don't have to use typical hours. So you could homeschool in the morning, you could homeschool in the afternoon, you could do it on the weekends. There's no one right way to do it. So you just have to figure out what works for your family and make it happen. But like I said, I know people that both parents work. I know single moms with 6 children that homeschool, and they get it done. So if they can do it,
make it happen.
You can do it.
Yeah, like what would you say is like a tip? Are you guys doing like full homeschooling yet? You said you have 5 and a 3-year-old. Are you doing?
Oh yeah, we're in it. We're in it.
What does like a typical day of homeschooling look like for you guys?
Yeah, I like to wake up, do stuff as a family in the morning. We're kind of blessed in that I work from home, and my wife is a stay-at-home mother, and she absolutely crushes. Which, by the way, the stay-at-home mom is the modern-day Rosie the Riveter. If once upon a time America's greatest enemies were across an ocean, there is no question that America's greatest enemies today are subversive. They are within, and the moms who are staying home with their children are answering the call of their country. We need you home with your children. We need you raising good Americans that our children could grow up and have like-minded views with and share society with, because what the school system's producing, I mean, it's just like feeding your kids to the wolves. Stop feeding your kids to the wolves, people. Be Rosie the Riveter. Be Rosie the Riveter. So, yeah, we like to wake up. We have breakfast as a family. The kids might help make breakfast. Then we do our chores. So for us, that's we go outside, we take the chickens out, we do everything we have to do with the chickens, we do a little bit of gardening.
Yeah.
And then around midday, we jump into the more formal type of stuff.
Sure.
We typically work on our reading and our letters every day at this point. And then usually we'll do one ancillary activity. So that could be one science experiment, one STEM project. And then that's pretty much it. We'll cut it out, and usually later in the day we have something like baseball or karate, or we go to the park. And so you don't have to do an overly substantial amount of formal schooling, especially when they're young. You just want to make sure that you focus on the things you want them to learn, and you focus on skill development, and then you let them be little people, because they are.
That's what they are, and they follow you around and learn how to be a person. That's awesome. Do you teach your kids, or is your wife teaching them?
Oh, yeah, we're both in it.
You're both in it. Nice. Yeah, when do you have time to write your curriculum? Do you do that in the evenings, or?
I do that at night. So yeah, I do my marketing during the day, and then I get the kids to bed. And this is probably not the healthiest thing, but it's probably why I'm up to like 2:30 every night. So I get the kids to bed.
Yeah.
And then I just sit down. I start working until about 2:30, and I'm pretty efficient, so I get a lot done.
Yeah. So when you write a whole curriculum, is that like a month's work of education, or is that a day by day, like a daily curriculum? So when you say you write one a day, is that enough to take me through a couple weeks of work, or how's that working?
Oh yeah, we'll take you through it. We so like sometimes I do on their own unit studies, where I'll make a unit study based around a science project. Like one of the science projects we do is we implode a Coca-Cola can using steam and cold and ice, right? So that's like a fun lesson, and that on its own, it's its own unit study. Another one we have a scientific observation series. And each one builds on the previous, but like each one's kind of its own entity. So, we'll have the children outside. They're looking for animal prints. They'll find a dog print on the ground. They got to measure it. They got to take a picture of it. Then they need context, so they take a picture of it with their hand next to it. Right? And they're doing all of this different stuff that we have them then go online and look up animal prints and see if they could identify the print. Right? Can you, from that print, can you figure out what animal that was? Right?
Yeah.
Very proud of my son. He has correctly. We did that one maybe a month and a half ago, him and I. And we found what turned out to be a turkey print.
Nice.
And he did, in fact, identify it as a turkey print. I was really excited about that.
That's awesome.
And then we have more of series, like we have our study into the military-industrial complex. And that starts out with lesson 1. And you do lesson 1, and however long it takes you to do that lesson, a day or two, right? Then there's lesson 2, right? You sit down, then there's lesson 3, and you go on and on and on and on. Same thing with our financial literacy series that I've been building out. That one's on my mind because I've been working hard on it. Right? Lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. And lesson 1 might be an actual book that I wrote that I don't sell like I do my Cubs to Bears books. I just give it to our community. I write tons of books for our community. So lesson 1 might be a book on a child who goes through a journey and becomes an entrepreneur. Then they're answering questions. And we build and we build and we build. The children have made their own piggy banks. They've done some mock accounting. Now they're starting to do their own accounting. Next week, I'm actually going to have them start earning money. They're going to have to figure out how to do that, right?
That's awesome.
So you're just building lessons on lessons, and, it adds up.
I love that. Yeah. Have you released that financial one, or do you release them just as you write them to your community?
Oh, yeah, it's out there. Yeah,
people are going through it.
I just release them as they go, so
You don't wait for it to all be finished.
No, I just go.
Nice. I got a board game from the Rich Dad Poor Dad website, the Rat Race board game, and we've had it at my house forever. And my son keeps looking at it. He's 7. He's like, "When can we play this? When can we play this?" I finally sat down. It takes like 5 hours to play it, but like you have a ledger, you have your income, your assets, your expenses, and then you just like it's like Monopoly, but you have to like keep an account of your whole your finances, and then when your passive income is higher than your expenses, you get to move out of the rat race, and then you move on to the fast track. And it's like, I was like, this is a whole, like, I never learned any of this in public school. Like this one day of education I did with my son has been, and now he's just like asking what everything costs, and he's like, I'll do this for $10, or I'll, he's like, we'll start selling popsicles we have a splash park down the road from our house. Like, I'll sell popsicles, and then we can get more popsicles. So he's got, like, his mindset has switched just from playing that one game. But that's something that I'm available to do because I work from home also. And so when the toddler was napping, we had the game out and got it going. But it's one of the benefits of homeschooling is you can just do stuff, like just go for it. So I love that.
Yeah, you might even want to look into Rat Race for Kids.
Oh, is there a smaller version?
We do have a smaller version for the little kids, yes. I strongly recommend it for a 7-year-old. And what I tell parents is I actually recommend they start on one game of Monopoly for Kids a month.
Yeah.
Then as soon as they master that, which is pretty quick, you do one game a month of regular Monopoly. Then once they master that, one game a month of Rat Race for Kids.
Okay.
And then when they get to around 8th grade-ish, start them on, and they can start earlier if they're ready. You use your discernment. Right. They start on the Rat Race game. And I actually, my financial literacy curriculum that I've been building is based around the philosophy of Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, who makes the Rat Race game.
Right.
And the reason for that is reading that book had a profound impact on my life. I was an employee, and I read that book, and right when I read it, it just resonated with me, and I was like, oh wow, I could structure my life a lot better. And since then I have. I guess Kiyosaki would say I'm on the fast track, but life's still a lot going on. But now my life is very good. I've been very blessed. I've been very successful, and I look outside and there's land, and I don't even have debt on my house. I'm really blessed. I've done well, but I have the land outside. I have my chickens and my ducks, and I just built a pen. I'm going to get a goat next spring.
Heck yeah!
Nice. I was outside all week. I put an orchard in the ground.
Nice.
I ripped up the ground. I tilled the ground. I know, don't till. Whatever. I tilled the ground. I ripped it up. I planted 15 fruit trees in the ground, and it's like the philosophy of really just like you said with the passive income versus active income. And it's not that maybe some people, but it's not even that income has to be where you're ever going to have it where you don't do work, but you want it where the passive income makes it so your work gets easier and you can work on the things you want to work on. And the passive income, the development of assets, right? People, and this is where I really bend Kiyosaki's philosophy, because, a lot of people read that and they're like, oh, that's nice, but now I have to go in all this debt and I have to buy a house to get an asset. There are many different assets in this world. There are many. This is an asset, right? Yeah. I made this, and now some of you right now are probably going to go, oh, the right to bear arms. Let me go on Amazon. I'm going to buy it. That's an asset, right? I made it once, and there's so many different things, whether it's T-shirts, hats, whatever field you're in, where you can start to accumulate assets, which is the concept of something that brings money into your pocket continuously.
Right.
And it becomes passive when you don't necessarily have to keep working on it to get it to keep bringing in money. Yeah. And these concepts they're such a no-brainer that you're like, wow, I even taught, I was teaching 12th grade economics, I'd never heard of these concepts, right? Because the school system's so broken. And I read this a few years ago, and I told my wife, I was like, our life's about to change. And, she looked at me and laughed because I'm, but Who's laughing now?
Both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, she's still laughing.
That's awesome. I love it. Cool. So I watched a post of you guys like making your own detergent and doing all these different like household deals. And you just talked about chickens and gardening and planting trees. Are your kids along with you for all of that? You're involving them in all of your
your
household
they really
stuff.
take the lead on the birds.
Yeah. Kids like at 5 years old, they can handle chickens. Feed them, water them, grab the eggs.
Oh, yeah.
It's not complicated. Yeah.
And you brought up what you just brought up was my health swap series. So one of the things I'm really into is making sure that the children are educated in nutrition and health and all of the different toxins that are in the world, but you don't want to show it to them and be like everything's poisonous. You want to make them aware of it and then show them how we do things differently and why we're fine. So we have our health swap series. So one of the things the children do is they do an audit of laundry detergent and they look up the ingredients and like, wow, you know what? The chemicals they put in this aren't good. How can we make our own? And then we actually have the children make their own laundry detergent. And then that's the detergent you use in the house. And we do that with soap, with shampoo, with all different household products where the children are doing these audits. And then they're actually making their own alternative products. We did one with deodorant where you can make your own deodorant.
That's awesome.
Right? And the aluminum that people put under their armpits that's not good for you. So really stuff that's designed to teach them how to live healthy. Within the lessons, we have how to shop healthy, right? What are you looking for? You're looking for the USDA organic. You're looking for the non-GMO, right? Phosphate-free, this type of thing. So we want to teach them how to shop, teach them how to make their own ingredients, teach them how to identify the things that we don't want in our lives and to not only get rid of them, but replace them. Another thing we do in the Health Swap series, children love candy. Well, we actually have lessons where they make their own they make their own peanut butter cups.
Gotcha.
We have lessons where they make their own marshmallows, make their own graham crackers, and then they could get some organic chocolate and they could have s'mores. So we have these health swap series. Another thing that we do is we have the food challenge for the year, where once a month your children go to the grocery store with you and they go to the aisles with all the, the cartoons and the friendly face, like, oh, eat me, right? The cereal aisle. And then they pick a random ingredient, and like pick an ingredient and like, oh, red 40. And then you go home and do an internet search and look up the side effects of red 40. And then after 12 times doing that over the course of the year, you hang that in the fridge, they'll say, oh, I understand why we do things differently than other people.
Right.
But preface that with, we never, ever, ever, never as parents show despair, make them think, oh my God, they're poisoning us. We never watch the news and show them, oh my God, I'm stressed out about what's happening in the world. Never do that as a parent. As a parent, you are resolute, you are strong. We take on the world. We're not afraid of it. We're conquerors of the world, for lack of a better term. You want to project strength and confidence to your children. Never be the parent that shows, that's, oh my God, look what they're doing. They're trying to inject me. They're trying to put the mask on me. They're trying to shoot me. Just no fear. Because your children pick up on what you are. So you want to be the example more than anything else.
Right, yeah. Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit, about how our kids basically become who we are and how to be that kind of type of person that you personally are learning, and so they're curious about learning. Can you talk about the parents' influence in that regard?
Yeah, well, children learn more from what they see you do than what you say. And here's the example I'll give of that. And this is not a bash of my father. My father's fantastic. As I said, I get my personal responsibility, my work ethic from this man who, he was waking me up early in the morning and making me run as a child. And the toughest man and the hardest working man I have ever seen in my life. And that's why, like, hard work is so natural to me. I'm like, why wouldn't I be working hard? I'm like, like, isn't that what men do? But one of the things from my childhood, I just use it because it's a good example, is when I was a kid, I came from boozers. I came from a long line of boozers, a lot of drinkers, and all I saw was everyone around me drinking all the time. My father, I was the youngest of 4 siblings. All my siblings, they're in high school, they're getting drunk all the time. I'm coming up and watching this, like, you know? So by the time I'm 12, I'm like, I'm going for it. So I start drinking. And I probably was a regular drinker from the time I was 12 to the time I became a father. And I was like, I thought about it, right? So to me, it was the most natural thing in the world. And when I was 12, 13, 14, you know, before I had worn them down, you know, they would punish me and ground me. None of that mattered. You could tell me not to drink. You could punish me and ground me. All I've known is I see that this is what the adults do. Right? And you want to be like the cool kids. So that's what I see. That's what I do. Monkey see, monkey do. Well, I applied that when I became a father. I thought about that. I was like, oh man, I don't want my son to think this behavior is normal. So I became a father and I really cut back on the drinking to the point where like I was the regular boozer to, you know, maybe I'd have a drink once a week, and then it started being like once a month. And then I got to the point where I just stopped. I haven't had a drink in years. Because once it got to like once a month, and I was like, oh, you know, it kind of loses its hold on you.
What's the point?
And, so then I was like, I don't even want my kids to ever see me drinking alcohol. And I haven't had a drink in years because I know that I could tell them not to do this or not to do that. But in the end, they're going to do what dad does. And now they have a role model where when they get out into the world and all their friends are doing what they do, they'll have one role model in their life that says, dad does things different. And there is so much power in that. Be the example. Don't talk about it.
I love that. What ages do you recommend people start with this? You can start, I'm sure, any age, as soon as they're talking or walking. But when's a good time to like go like full in on homeschooling?
You start homeschooling the day your child is born. So the first year of their life, you want to create a stress-free and a language-rich environment. And what I mean by that is the first year of my children's life, God willing, my wife and I will be having another child soon. Nice. But the first year of their life, you really want to expose them to as many words as possible because their mind is like a sponge. Maria Montessori does a lot of really good writing on this. Their mind is like a sponge. It's why they can learn language so easily. They can learn Spanish and French, and if you try to learn it, you're going to feel like you got popped in the head, right? So, because their minds are open to that. They're made to absorb information. So the more words they're exposed to, the better. So I might do something like I'm hanging out with my 3-month-old. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna pick up this jug of water. It's a nice jug of water. It's made of glass. It's hard. Feel it. It's hard. It's cold. You're touching the hard and cold jug. Oh look, there's lemons in there. The yellow lemons, right? You know what? I'm going to take this jug and I'm about to drink from it. I just drank from the jug. You want to touch the jug? Do you want to drink from it? So, right? So you are narrating the world around them and exposing them to a lot of language. And they're going to take that in. So you start right away is my point. You know, when they get to like 2, you really want them learning through your daily activities. So you want them involved in the cooking. You want them involved in the gardening. You want them involved in whatever it is that you do. And you're just talking to them, having them be a part of it, having them do it. If they're interested in anything, the Montessori style, you kind of follow that interest. There's cool books like Slow and Steady, Get Me Ready, which have all these activity ideas for developing fine motor skills around that age. So you're really just following their interest, getting them involved, and then when they start to get to like three, you want to work on their fine motor skills, and then when they start to get to around age 4, you could start to do some of the formal stuff. Like obviously you're reading every day throughout these 4 years. And then you could start to do some of the formal stuff, like start to work on their letters and, the alphabet and things of that nature. So yeah, you're starting at a young age and you're creating that environment for them.
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be 8 hours a day, 7 to 2 or whatever the public school says you have to do. Yeah, they're learning all the time. I love that. What's your vision going forward for your curriculum and your platform?
Oh, we're going to revolutionize education.
I love it.
All right, we're going to do it. We're going to revolutionize the education system and do it at a price that every person in America, no matter what their circumstances are, can give their children an education better than these pretentious elite pricks that send their kids to private schools and teach them to manage us. Right? This has been. I mean, we live in such an amazing time. There has been a great awakening, and that's not a reference to like Q. It's just there's a human awakening, human consciousness, human spirit, where people are realizing there's more to the world, and we have more to offer our kids, and there's more possibilities out there, and we aren't reliant on these institutions anymore. We can bypass the gatekeepers. And we can make our own path in the world and a path for our children. And we can build the world that we want for our children. Yeah. And what I'm doing is from the ground level up, we are teaching the things that matter. And now I'm starting to bring in, right, because now we've been blessed. We've had members. I could start to hire people. I just hired a guy that worked at NASA, right? And he's helping me build a STEM curriculum. And we're starting from the base level. And I'm just giving him the reins, and we're going back and forth. But I'm like, crush. And what I told him is, I said, I want you to think of this STEM curriculum for elementary school, although anyone could start it at any level. And by the time they get to middle school, I want them to be able to build these things with their hands so that we can start guiding them to being the entrepreneurs with those skills, right? So we're going to take all these different areas, the financial literacy, the STEM, the engineering. I started building out our carpentry curriculum where we have these carpentry assignments where children could really build with their hands. And soon I'm bringing in a carpenter too, and he'll take it to another level. I could start bringing all these people in and really teaching children the skills and giving them the guidance to not, when I'm 25, I'm going to be what do you want to be now? Go, be it, do it, live it. Live it. Then, I've been teaching the courses, and, my history is pretty impressive. People like my videos, I teach the history courses, but we're just at the beginning. I'm bringing in people, the best people on the internet. I don't have to, wait for people to send in resumes. I can approach the most impressive people on social media that millions of people already follow, and they're like, this guy's great. And I can go up to that guy and say, I need you. I want you to, right? So be a part of this. Right? So we're just the beginning. It's going to get to a point where it's an educational tool of which the world has never seen before.
Love it.
And I know that's a bold claim, right? But people that know me, I'm telling you, that's why, I was talking to my mother, and this was just when I was starting the business, and she's like, Brett, you gonna do that? I was like, Mom, I'm gonna be a billionaire. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, you don't see it? And it's not because I'm money hungry, it's just because when you provide real good service in this world, people want that service, and I'm going to make it available to everyone. I want to do for education what Henry Ford did to the automobile, because before he came along, they said, every person can't have an automobile. There'll never be a time where these poor folks can't drive a car. There'll never be a time where these poor folks get educated like the Rockefellers.
Yeah.
Keep waiting, Rockefeller.
I love it. You're like an evil mastermind, but without an evil goal. I love it.
I'm a good mastermind, and I'm guided by Jesus. And I'm not into the you gotta believe, just say you believe in Jesus and go sin and do terrible things. No, like, that's my guiding star. Like, when I live my life, not that I'm showing the best humility, but when I live my life, I try to, the best I can, follow the example of Jesus, right? To do what is good, do what is true, try to help people, be motivated by the right things. And so that's like, Jesus is my guiding star in that.
Yeah.
And, from there, it's just, you just go.
I love it. Do you have a Jesus curriculum written out yet, or are you working on that?
No,
New Testament, Old Testament survey?
I do think that faith should be taught in the home.
Yeah.
Now, like, there's faith, like, in my curriculum, and so I say what I think, and I'll certainly bring people in who, will say what they think. Like, when I teach about the American Revolution, I teach that our rights are endowed by God. We are, at birth, we are given these rights of life and liberty, right? The right to speak your mind without being imprisoned, right? These are inalienable rights endowed by our Creator. That's where they come from. And so, like, that's my root, and that's what I teach. And it's important, too, because one of the things we're doing now is we're studying the United States Constitution. And we're up to the judicial branch now, and we just did the Supreme Court, and then we're going to go through the lower courts, the appellate courts, the district courts, and we're going to learn about all the courts, and we're going to learn about affidavits, filing conditional consents, notices of liability, right? How to actually take your power back.
Yeah.
And when you actually get into constitutional law, not that I'm the foremost expert in the world, although, like I said, I am going to bring in the people that can take it to another level from where I take it.
Right.
But your power, your rights, if you're going to be able to defend them, you have to know who the highest authority is. And American Constitution, it's right there in the Declaration of Independence. The highest authority is God. And that actually does, through legal precedent, hold in our court system. People just don't understand that. So you need to know where your rights come from if you're going to be able to properly defend them. And so, this stuff is, it's revolutionary. And it's the type of thing that I'm really passionate about. So.
Yeah, I need to take one of your classes. Do your curriculums come with like a video for each of them, or do you add just videos in throughout the curriculum, or how does that work?
Yeah, so when you become a member of Homeschools Connected, there's the files section, which is all the lesson plans and the unit studies, and that's just the guided lessons. Do this, do that, do that. Reading, whatever it might be. And then there's the courses section. When you click on courses, it lists all the different video courses that we offer. And then it's lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and you get a lot of me.
I like it. Cool. Are you where's a good place for people to start, if not necessarily just your resources, but like good books to read about homeschooling to kind of get the ball rolling if they're interested in learning more? Yeah,
the 5-hour school week.
Okay.
It's the first one I would read. 5-hour school week. Maria Montessori's writings. That's in her autobiography and books. Charlotte Mason's writings. The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer. And I do suggest everyone, not quite about homeschooling, but about education, I do suggest everyone reads all of the works by the late, the great, the legendary John Taylor Gatto.
Okay. Nice.
Start with Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto.
Gotcha. Well, I've got a lot of homework to do. Get some audiobooks going. What are you reading right now? Do you have anything on your nightstand? I like to ask everybody.
Yes, I started reading, what's his first name? Zinn. I started reading it last night by Zinn. The History of the United States by, I think, Howard Zinn. I'll tell you in a second. I won't tell you the other book I was reading right before that because it's slightly more controversial. But I read all of the most controversial people, and I do that on purpose because I can't teach about the world. I can't understand the world unless I actually read the writings of, people that they say, that's a terrible man. I need to know what they said. I need to understand this stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, so the book I am currently reading is A People's History of the United States, and the author is Zinn, Howard Zinn. And I started reading that because about 15 people over the last 2 months were like, have you read Zinn? I was like, I better read Zinn. So
yeah, so you could. Awesome. How can people connect with you? Plug everything you want to plug right now. How can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Classical Learner, as well as at Cubs to Bears Books. I started that page just about 2 weeks ago. It's going pretty well.
Nice.
Then I have TikTok. I'm on there. Cubs to Bears. ClassicalLearner.com _ I don't know. I got banned so many times that I keep changing it. And at Real Brett Pike. I'm on Twitter. I am at Classic Learner, and the fire is happening over there on Twitter at Classic Learner. Classical was taken.
Gotcha.
And I am on Gab. I'm also pretty active with Classical Learner.
Okay, nice. I love it. And to get your curriculum, where do I go? Is it Classical Learner also, or that's Homeschools connected?
You go to www.classicallearner.com. You'll see Homeschools Connected. Join Homeschools Connected. $15 a month. You get access to our amazing community of like-minded parents that have accumulated literally thousands of years of homeschooling experience. You get access to all of the lesson plans, the unit studies, the courses that we put out, and what we're doing is groundbreaking. We're teaching real skills for the real world. We have an entire year-long curriculum built out just around gardening, 46 weeks of lessons around gardening in which children are they are building their own garden boxes. They're making real greenhouses outside. They're testing their soil. They're making at-home fertilizer. This is one of our unit studies that we have. So we're doing some pretty amazing things. You get access to all of it and everything else that I'm putting out. So we don't stop. We just, like I said, no matter where the world puts you, you just grind your way out.
It's only $15 a month too, right? For all that.
We're gonna bring it to the whole world.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I just found you online. I'll put links to all of this in all the show notes and everything. So awesome. Thank you so much, Brett, for having me on. I feel like we could talk for a couple more hours.
Anytime. Love it. Thanks for having me.